Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to evening devotion. Well, I tell you, sometimes you got days where you're tested hard, and sometimes you leave that prayer for strength open ended in case something else happens, so you can continue it and ask for strength. Um, oof. Sometimes days just get to you, especially if you're already tired. It's really easy to get off track, and I kind of did that today a little bit, but. We're still going. We're still pushing forward. I got just a heads up, and I'll say it again tomorrow. I have a colonoscopy on Wednesday, so I have to start prep on Tuesday. So I don't know how it's going to go with videos. I'm probably going to film at the very least Wednesday's videos in advance. Because I don't know, I got to be there early. I don't know what kind of condition I'm going to be afterwards. So I may film at least Wednesdays, maybe Tuesdays. It just depends in advance. So there's no break in the continuity of content. I hate these things because, at least it's better. I only have one day now of the prep. The last time I did it was 2 days. So it was 2 days on the toilet. I literally had to sleep there because I couldn't get off of it. So I guess they've streamlined it and made it better. Hope they have, but we'll see. So yeah, I don't enjoy this because it takes me out for a while. But anyway, that's what's going to be happening this week. So I'll figure out tomorrow more what I'm going to need to do, and we'll take it from there. And again, I'll say something about this again tomorrow, so everybody's aware. I don't foresee any break in videos, but I'll make sure to try to get, if I have to, just try to make sure I get it filmed early, so it's already set to upload for you guys. Keep me in your prayers. That I have patience and that I have strength, and that because it's just checking for stuff, that everything comes back perfectly clear and everything's fine. I don't want there to be any issues. I don't want to add more to my plate. All right, let's get into the video tonight. Philippians 1:27, only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Christ. Now, sometimes this can be real hard, especially when you're tired, when you're getting attacked on all sides, when you're frustrated, when everything's happening all at once. It can be really, really hard to control yourself. And sometimes some rough language comes out, especially if it pertains to a specific situation. Sometimes you just can't help it. Sometimes the best way to get it out is with colorful expletives, but it's not right for us to speak that way. We shouldn't, because we want to set a good example, because Christ set us a good example. But sometimes you just can't help it. Sometimes it just comes out. We do what we can, take it to the Lord, and everything will be fine. But look, we're human. We're human. You can't be, under full control every single second. Sometimes it's just stuff gets away from you, and you just get caught off guard. It happens to me. It doesn't happen to me near as much as it used to, but it happens to me sometimes still. You just get caught off guard. You can't stop yourself. Only let your conduct be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent, I may hear of your affairs, that you stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. Now, in this particular context, he's not talking about, individual interactions and spot interactions like I had mentioned. But still, in those circumstances, we need to try to exhibit some form of self-control and some form of decorum. But he's speaking on the generality of the actions of the Christians, so that as they conduct themselves in the world. So if we go back to here, it says conversation, but you go back to the New King, because that's King James. New King James says conduct, which conversation is part of that too. So we pay attention to ourselves. And you look, if you make a mistake, you go to the Lord. You take it to the Lord. So let's get some context here, greater context. Oh yeah, great verse right here, verse 21. For to me, to live as Christ and to die as gain. It's a win-win. But if I live on in the flesh, this will mean fruit from my labor. Yet what I shall choose, I cannot tell. It's in the future. I don't know what I'm going to do. For I am hard pressed between the two, having a desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. And I think all of us can agree on that. That we, and especially in this stage in life, get a little hard pressed. I would, like a lot of people in my age group, in their 50s, are happy with life pretty much, and they enjoy things. But some of us get to that place where we're hard pressed. I'd rather go be with the Lord, especially if there's a lot of unnecessary stress in your life, or external problems. Internal is fine. I'm good there, but it's external stuff. Sometimes the burdens we bear start to define us. We have to try to make sure we don't do that and be as Christ-like as we can. And it can be hard, I know. Nevertheless, to remain in the flesh is more needful for you. So for the people here, and I've talked about this a while back, for the people here, it's better for us to be here. So one of the things about the rapture is that it's going to take the light out of the world and those preaching the gospel out of the world. That's not good for the world. That's actually going to be a great detriment to them. But judgment has to come. And in order for that to come, we have to be out of the way for that, because it doesn't pertain to us. It only pertains to the world. So we have to do the best we can, what we can, while we're here. Because while we're here, the world receives the benefit. That free open grace is bestowed upon everybody while we're here. When we're taken, that grace goes with us. And there will be a certain level of it, but it won't be like it is now. Even salvation will be a little bit different in the way it works. Right now, door's wide open. Then the door will be shut. It'll be a different scenario. To come to faith in the tribulation may cost you greatly. And for a great many, it will. Nevertheless, to remain in the flesh is more needful for you. And being confident of this, I know that I shall remain and continue with you, all for your progress and joy of faith, that your rejoicing for me may be more abundant in Jesus Christ by my coming to you again. So Paul's not necessarily, proclaiming that he's going to be happy about it. He got to see some things that other people didn't. In fact, he got to see and experience things the other apostles didn't, according to him. So I'm sure he was ready to go. I'm sure he was ready to, all right, I'm good. If I go now, I'm happy. So I'm sure he was, because after what he witnessed. Only let your conduct be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent, I may hear of your affairs, that you stand fast in one spirit. So everybody agreeing, because we all believe in the same Jesus, with one mind. We know what the truth is. Let's walk in that, striving together for the faith of the gospel, and not in any way terrified by your adversaries. Do not fear. Jesus told us, do not fear. Which is to them a proof of perdition, but to you of salvation, and that from God. So we don't need to be terrified of our adversaries. The fact that they're adversarial is a proof to them of what's coming. Not perdition like the Catholic Church says. This is something that's coming that they're going to have to endure, but it's evidence to them. But for us, salvation, and that from God. For to you it has been granted on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, listen closely, for to you it has been granted on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake. Is it no surprise that we have to endure the things we endure in this life? If Christ suffered them too. We should not be surprised by this. It even tells us in the Bible, don't be surprised at the fiery trial that comes upon you. If Christ went through it, we may too. Not everybody will go through the same things, but we're all going to have something that we're going to have to deal with. It is what it is. Some are very insulated from that by the environment they're in. Some of us aren't. Some of us are boots on ground, standing in the midst of the battlefield. But notice what it says in verse 29. We're at the end of the chapter here, by the way. But notice what it says. For to you it has been granted on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him. Where do we hear about that? Remember, the faith you have isn't your faith. It's a faith that was given to you by Christ. Where do we hear about that? Ephesians 2, 8, 9, and 10. Remember I told you about that. That's telling you, you were given that faith. The faith I have is given to me. I didn't have the ability to believe until he gave me the ability to believe it. And we see that reiterated right here. But also to suffer for his sake, having the same conflict which you saw in me and now here is in me. So again, it's no surprise that we should have these issues. It's no surprise that these strange occurrences should come upon us, or that we should have these trials and tribulations. This is something that is specific for the church, because the outside world will look at us and go, well, how did praying work out for you? Look at what's going on. How did, where's your God now? Well, he's right here. He's listening to everything you're saying right now. Well, why didn't he stop that? Well, what's to say that there's a purpose to stop that? Why should he stop that? And what's it to you if he stops it? You're trying to judge me on something that the Lord has in his hands. He's omnipotent and omniscient over it. He's sovereign over it. And so if I suffer, it's not a negative to me, it's a positive. To you, it'd be a negative. To me, it's a positive. I was found worthy to suffer for his name. That's a great glory. It's a great privilege, because not everybody gets to. Not everybody gets martyred. Not everybody gets crucified. Some have, but not all. Not everybody gets burned. Some die a normal, quiet death. I don't know if they spend their life suffering or not, but some in the defense of another. Some in the process of saving another. So let's conduct ourselves during our stay here. And remember, there's a verse in the Bible about this. We read it recently. While we're here during our stay here, let's conduct ourselves in a godly manner as best we can. Again, you're not going to do it perfect. You can't. You do the best you can. The word conversation does not merely mean our talk and converse with one another, but the whole course of our life and behavior in the world. That's why in the New King James it says, it doesn't say conversation, it says conduct. Because it actually means both. And I told you guys that. It's talking about both. Not only our communication, but also how we conduct ourselves around others and with others. The Greek word signifies the actions and the privileges of citizenship, and thus we are recommended to let our actions as citizens of the New Jerusalem, you are the citizen of New Jerusalem right now. It's not here yet, but you're a citizen of it. Be such as becometh the gospel of Christ. Again, I have to put this disclaimer up to remind everybody, we will not do it perfectly. I don't know a Christian that does. Sometimes we get into some rough times in our lives. Sometimes we get caught unawares. Sometimes we unload. Jesus did. This is something people forget. Jesus got mad. He got angry. He saw what was happening to his father's temple, and he made himself a whip in front of everybody, walked in there and started whooping tail. Flipping tables, chasing everybody out. Get out. What's the matter with you? Great zeal for your house has eaten me up, is what he said. He was mad, and rightly so. And he was justified in his actions, going out there and start whooping a knot on people's head. You get people's attention, that's for sure. So again, you're not going to do this in the perfect fashion that the world tells you, but you can do it as close as possible to what the Bible tells you. We're reading one of Paul's letters. Paul did it when he stood face to face against Peter. Look at you, you hypocrite. Look at what you're doing. And they were in a shouting match. The conversation was so sharp between them that they parted ways and stayed away from each other because it was so bad. I think he had an argument with Barnabas too. Now they all ultimately forgave each other and let it go. But notice that it happens. Notice that sometimes Paul got mad. Let's go and look in the book of Acts. And I've brought this up a few times, even to some pastors, and they never saw it before. But whenever that woman had the spirit of divination, She's just singing their praises. And you would think, well, what would be the problem in that? Because the demon that was possessing her knew that Paul had anger issues and was trying to get under Paul's skin. Now, it knew it was going to get cast out, but it did it for a reason, because it was trying to come in between them and the spreading of the gospel in that city. So Paul got mad. After many days of this, would this woman shut up? And she wouldn't. They kept following him around, hollering and yelling. Okay, you know what, spirit, come out. That's exactly what that spirit wanted. Because it knew that the people that were paying for this chick to do all these things and say all these things, we're going to grab them up and put them in jail. Cool, I got the gospel stopped. Here's the thing, though. I 100% think Paul knew that that's what was going to happen. And Paul did that knowing what the end result would be. What was the end result? They got put in jail. Bunch of people in that jail got saved, including the guard. And then when it was time to get cut loose, Paul says, no. We're not going out by the back door. You tell them to come here and take us out. They put us here, they can escort us out. And they escorted them out. Hey, don't preach the gospel anymore. What they do, went right back in the city and started preaching the gospel. Paul knew what he was doing. That demon knew what he was doing. Paul knew what was going on. But Paul got mad. He let him have it. Paul talks about it in some of his other letters where, he come at him with coarse speech. Again, we're not going to be perfect. We do the best we can. And you can always say, okay, guys, I apologize. I really got on my soapbox there. I apologize. But I'm very passionate about this. This really bothers me. Should not be this way. And I'm emotional about it. And it's caught me off guard. And I'm showing some emotion. So please forgive me. Show me some grace. Again, we're human. Tell you see travesties happen in your viewing and there's nothing you can do about it. It bugs you. You see insults happening. It bugs you. I would have no problem with somebody standing out in the street waving a Bible around saying, yeah, look at this. Look, I have no problem snatching that Bible out of their hand, whacking them right in the forehead with it and getting right in their face and telling them, who do you think you are to speak in this way about the word of God? How dare you stand out here waving this around like you think you know what you're talking about? Like you think you're somebody important. You are nothing. You are a worm. You have no business even touching the word of God. Either read it and believe it or walk away from it and ignore it. But don't stand here and insult it. I take great insult at that. And I would 100% do that. 100% do that. I tell you with full confidence. Because it really bugs me when people do that. Now, if the guy calms down, I catch him up with him later. Hey, I apologize. I'm very passionate about this. And it bugs me when I see people speak out of ignorance in this way, thinking that they're achieving something. And by the way, I probably saved you a really bad response, because you standing out there doing that, eventually the Lord's going to get tired of it too, and he's going to respond to you. You may not like it. Many a Christian have gotten in the way of people catching beatings for doing very similar things over the generations, and have basically saved them from being beaten and saved their lives. Because they got in between them and whatever the Lord was sending to deal with them. Elijah did it. Did Elijah not? When the kids come running out, hey, bald head, and making fun of him, and he called them female bears down, killed them kids, ate them up. When he was standing up on that big old hill that they made, and they were all the water and the wood, and they were like praying to their gods, and he's up there, Lord, do this, take this, wipe him out. And he was very, after a sense, he was very arrogant in his response, and the Lord corrected him on it. But was he justified? Yeah. Look at what they were doing. How dare you insult the one true God in the way that you're doing it? And you think your gods are something, and your gods are nothing. So we have example after example in the Bible of this very situation happening. We do the best we can, guys. We do the best we can. I elaborate on this on purpose. Do the best we can. What sort of conversation is this? In the first place, the gospel is very simple. Yes, it is. So Christians should be simple and plain in their habits. Have I not shared with you guys one of the greatest acronyms I ever learned? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't complicate what the Lord made simple. You will thank yourself and you will thank him later. Keep it simple. It doesn't need to be elaborate, and it doesn't need to be complicated. If I run into anybody and they're talking about, what makes you think this is all real? Jesus Christ died on the cross to pay the debt you owe for sin, a debt you can't pay. He died on that cross paying all that debt. He offers it to you as a free gift of salvation, that you may have eternal life in heaven with him. He died after being crucified, was buried, and rose again on the third day and ascended to the Father and sits at his right hand right now, waiting for you to answer his call. There's a reason why we're talking. He has put me in your path to plant seeds of faith, and I'm here trying to do that. He's waiting for you to answer. He's waiting for you to say yes to him. Are you going to say yes and accept his free gift? No strings attached. Free gift. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, direct, and to the point. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Sometimes you can just share your testimony. This was going on, that was going on, and the Lord came to me and showed me. Those things have the greatest effect. So Christians should be simple and plain in their habits. The life we live should be a simple life. Doesn't need to be complicated. I work very hard trying to keep things as simple as possible, and I have external circumstances that are trying to complicate it, and I am fighting it tooth and nail. There should be about our manner, our speech, our dress, our whole behavior. That simplicity, which is the very soul of beauty. I've been accused of being too simple in how I do things. Or give a response about something. Well, we just do this. Oh, well, that's too simple. Exactly. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be simple. Keep it simple. Everything works fine. Complicated, you're going to be there all day. I do this with the work that I do. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Keep it simple. The minute you complicate it, the minute you create more stress and more anxiety. The gospel is preeminently true. It is gold without dross. And the Christian's life will be lusterless and valueless without the jewel of truth. The gospel is a very fearless gospel. It boldly proclaims the truth. Whether men like it or not, I love this devotion. We must be equally faithful and unflinching. I love this devotion. Almost sounds like I wrote it, because I've said many of the same things. But the gospel is also very gentle. Mark this spirit in its founder. A bruised reed he will not break. A smoking flax he will not quench. Some professors are sharper than a thorn hedge. I'm like that sometimes. Some men are not like Jesus. Let us seek to win others by the gentleness of our words and acts. The gospel is very loving. It is the message of the God of love to a lost and fallen race. Christ's last command to his disciples was love one another. Love is the glue. Love is the secret ingredient. Love is the key. Oh, for more real, hearty union and love to all the saints. For more tender compassion towards the souls of the worst and vilest of men. You know, we're to have compassion. We're to bless our enemies. We're to have compassion on them. Because if all they get is this life, they'll have an eternity of darkness and suffering. We should feel sorry for them. As much as we may not like them, we have to love them. And we can love them and not like the kind of person they are. We must not forget that the gospel of Christ is holy. It never excuses sin. It pardons it. It never excuses sin. It pardons it. But only through an atonement. If our life is to resemble the gospel, we must shun not merely the grosser vices, but everything that would hinder our perfect conformity to Christ. If it gets in between you and the Lord, it's a sin. For his sake, for our own sakes, and for the sakes of others, we must strive day by day to let our conversation be more in accordance with the gospel. And the key word there is strive. Jesus said, strive to enter by the narrow gate. What does this word strive mean? Well, what are we looking at here? Well, I'm going to look it up on my computer so I can give you the actual current definition. Strive. Make great efforts to achieve or obtain something. Struggle or fight vigorously. That's the two definitions. Merriam-Webster says, to devote serious energy or effort or energy, to struggle in opposition, to strive against evil or darkness or whatever. So this is what that key word, strive. Now, in the act of striving, there are failures. We had, I'll tell you this story because this was one of those things where we had a huge struggle. With a buddy of mine, he had a 1982 Ford Thunderbird Silver Series Town Landau edition, and it was a really weird, oddball car. I wish I had it now. Had a gray leather. It was silver. Had a gray leather interior, and it had a rabbit hair rear package cover and headliner. I kid you not. It was like this literal pimp car. It was wild. And so he had it, and he had put this old cop motor in it. It was a 302, and it ran really good when he blew the motor. No, I take that back. He took that out and put it in a truck he bought. Then later on, he got a deal on another unmarked cop car. It had a 351 Windsor in it, so he took that out and put that motor and trans in that car. And it really had a lot of power. But the problem was, and it's a drop-in, it's all carbureted, but the problem was we couldn't get it to fire. Now, it ran fine in the other car. For some reason, it wouldn't run in this one. We couldn't figure out why. And I kid you not, months messing with this thing, trying to get it to run. Couldn't figure it out to save our lives. We checked everything, replaced anything that we could. We just went over and over. Could not get it to fire. Everything else was fine. Could not get it to fire. We were striving to get that car running and could not get it to run. One day we were out there messing with it, and I said, let me check something real quick. And so there's a main cannon plug that goes from the distributor to the wiring harness to operate the firing system. And so I pulled it apart and looked in there. Blew it out a little bit. Okay, it looks all right. And I kind of wiggled it a little bit when I put it back together just to kind of scrape the connections a little bit. I said, try it now just because we were about to stop. Try it now just to see what happens. We had done nothing but failure up until this point. Hit the key, instantly started right up. Had a little piece of dirt that when you connected it, because I guess it had sat out for a little bit and got some stuff in there because it was open to the elements. And when you plugged it in, it would move the little pin over to the side so it couldn't make contact. And when I blew in there and tapped it, it knocked it out. Instantly made contact, fired right up. That car ran so good. That was a really powerful car. I think he blew that motor up too and then ended up selling it. Anyway, we strived and failed, could not get it done until finally victory. The striving in our Christian walk is very similar to this. We strive and fail. We get some victories, we get some failures. He tells you not to give up, to keep striving. And when we do, we start to get a little better and get a little better and get a little better, and we start to elevate. And we start to become more and more and more loving, more graceful, more full of more mercy, more, that's what I'm looking for. More knowledge, more understanding towards the things of God. And our conduct will change over the years. Our attitude, our behavior, our conversation, the way we carry ourselves, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we speak and communicate with others, the way we interact with others, all as we're striving along through that Christian walk, through that walk of sanctification, we grow and grow and grow and grow until the day comes that the Lord finishes the work he started in us. Because, he's the one doing it all, not us. He told us to strive. We strive. We strive to do the best we can. This is why I say this. You do the best you can. You're not going to be perfect at it. If we could, Jesus didn't need to die. Well, he had to die because we can't be perfect at it. We can't attain a holiness of our own. We must have it imputed unto us from Christ. We can't attain a righteousness of our own. Our righteousness is filthy rags. And that was talking to believers in that verse. But we have an imputed righteousness from Christ. All these things are imputed unto us, all these qualities. He gave us faith. He puts his love in our heart. So while we're striving and growing, these things are developing in us, and they're changing who we are as a believer and as a person. And that will show externally the evidence of the salvation within us. See how it all comes together and how it all works? So don't think and don't let people convince you that you're going to be perfect at this and you're going to do it right. You're not. You can't. You do the best you can. Do the best that you can. And you're going to make mistakes, and when you do, you go to the Lord. If you get coarse with somebody, or even if you throw a few colorful expletives out there, you throw out some swear words, you can go and apologize later, and then explain why you felt that way and why you expressed yourself that way. People will understand. You may hurt their feelings in the forum, but you know what? What if that breaks some of that stone off that heart, and some flesh starts to show? And what if that wedges in a seed and gets it planted and it starts to grow? And then the Lord removes all that stone, gives them a heart of flesh, and that seed sprouts. That seed of faith sprouts. Sometimes it may take a violent response or a rough response to wake somebody up. I've had to do it over the years. I don't like it, but I've had to do it. I don't enjoy it, but I've had to do it. So don't feel bad if you mess up and make a mistake in the process of striving to be better. Just get up and do it again. Be better. You can apologize. You can go to the Lord. Lord, I apologize. I was very out of line there. You take it to the Lord and confess it. He tells us to. The Bible tells us to. He makes intercession for us concerning even those things, the smallest of things. So again, don't be afraid to make a mistake. A lot of times we are, and we're taught, don't make any mistakes. You got to be this. Well, but where's the room for growth if I'm not allowed to make any mistakes? Just saying. I would rather, and I'll say this and we'll pray. I would rather offend somebody into heaven than love them into hell. Because I have no problem spending eternity saying I'm sorry. But honestly, if we're there, they're going to say, no sorry needed. You did what needed to be done, and it woke me up, and I'm here. Thank you. They will thank you for it. And the Lord will use it. Lord, may we be gracious in our speech and in our actions, in our conversation and communication. May we emulate your qualities in all aspects of life possible. But Lord, we're not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. I want to be. I wish I could be right on the money all the time, but I just can't. I'm weak. I'm weak flesh. I'm a worm. I'm broken. When you started the process of salvation, everything happened at once. And now I live as a Christian in that walk of sanctification, growing and growing and growing until the day comes you finish the work you started in us. Lord, we have to understand we can't be perfect now. It's not meant for us to be perfect now. That's later. But later, we will be perfect, and none of this stuff will be an issue for us. But now we mess up. We stumble, we fall. I did today. In thought, in word, I couldn't help it. It was a flood of emotion. It came out all at once. Lord, you know my heart concerning this. And I apologized to you and to the other person. Lord, make us to be better. But in the process of us striving to be better, when we make a mistake, make us to come to you with the mistake. Make us to not be afraid to say we're sorry. Not be afraid to apologize. Not be afraid to confess. And then explain why we feel that way. Now, sometimes they may already know. In my case, they do. They understand. But I try not to be that way because I don't want to be that way. And I hate it when that's brought out of me. And sometimes I just can't help it. I hold on to it as long as I can and restrain myself as long as I can. But sometimes it's just so overwhelming, especially when I'm really tired. It's so overwhelming. I can't stop myself. Paul Washer made a great explanation on this. He says, if you had somebody follow me around, because I'm not perfect, you had somebody follow me around all day on one day in my life and everything that I do. And then I'm do this, everything is great. And then I'm out and I'm fixing the roof on my shed and I hit my thumb and I yell out a cuss word and you take a snapshot and you can say, look at this guy, and make an entire judgment call on that one single moment. But if you go back and look at the entire day, you see a completely different person. And Lord, it's not the singular event that defines who we are as believers. It's the whole general course of our life. And so we can't be accused or condemned by that single event. What is the course of our life, and how does that reveal who we are in you? How does that emulate your qualities? We're going to have those moments when we're going to mess up. But that does not decide who we are. It's the course of our entire existence that decides who we are. And that comes from you. We have not attained to perfection yet, but it's coming. It's going to happen when the time comes. But Lord, while we're on that journey going there, make us to be as diligent as we can, to strive to be the best we can. But when we mess up, when we stumble and fall, and we will, when we make a mistake, and we will, when we sin, and we will, because sin is imprisoned in our flesh, may we not be afraid to come to you with it and confess it, and not be afraid to go to the person we may have offended and express how we feel. Because in that, we glorify you. When we go to that person and say, hey, I'm sorry I unloaded on you. I should not have been like that. I'm sorry that I acted that way. We glorify you in that. Because we show that true godly grace that has been given to us and exists within us, and we share it with others. And that will show them who we really are, than if we'd have never addressed it ever again. Lord, make us to glorify you in all things possible. And when we make mistakes, and we will, Lord, may we come to you with them. May you forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. And may we do all this for your glory and to the praise and honor of your holy name. Guys, thank you for joining me for evening devotion. Listen, you're not going to be perfect. I'm not. I am not. I will tell you flat out, I am probably the worst of the worst. But I know that it was not meant for me to be that way. I want to be. My desire in my heart is to be self-controlled, to be, to be, to respond properly, to exhibit the qualities of Christ in everything I do. But sometimes I just can't, because I know I'm weak. But Christ is our advocate. He is our high priest. He makes intercession for us with the Father. And he knows better than anybody what it's like, because he was human too. So he knows exactly what you're feeling and what you're going through and how you feel. We have a direct connection to him through the Holy Spirit. He knows. He endures those things too, He feels it too, So he really knows very intimately how we feel and what we're enduring. And he's with us through the whole thing. So turn to him. Turn to him for everything. You'll be amazed at how quickly he takes the guilt off your heart and then reinvigorates you to keep going. If you do it for me, he'll do it for anybody. I love you all very much. I bless you all in Jesus' name, and I'll see you in the next video.